We have a question from Jack Cassidy, and he asks, "What is your opinion on long distance dating?"
Well, unless you're going to get married, it's like, especially if you're dating somebody from another country, which I've done many times over the course of my life, is that the longer you date, at some point, it's somebody's going to have to move, and that goes back to like, why are you in the relationship in the first place? Do you want to live together? Do you want a family? Do you want a girl in every city? It's like, what's your objective? What is your outcome? Because typically, like when I've been long distance with my girlfriends, it's usually they would come and stay with me, depending on what country they were from. Like my English girlfriend, she could at the time she could stay here for like 90 days, and then she had to go back for at least a few weeks. And then she'd come back and stay for another 90 days. But over the years, as we dated for a long time, the immigration people started scrutinizing her more and more because they look and they see that she keeps coming back and she stays for a long period of time. And they're, at least back then, they were trying to prevent people from working here illegally. Now you can just walk across the border and do whatever the fuck you want. But if you fly in a plane and you go through customs and immigration, it's like, they'll ban you for a decade if you overstay your visa. But if you do things illegally, then it really doesn't matter.
Well, then you get a housing and you
Yeah,
get
they'll
paid.
yeah they'll give you a house.
You don't even
They'll,
need to work a job.
they'll give you welfare. They'll give you money for each of your kids. They'll give you plane tickets and fly you wherever you want to go in the country. And
40 acres and a mule?
yeah. So what was it? Hell, what was the original question?
Long distance
Oh,
dating.
long distance. So it's like, what's your outcome? What are you looking for? Because the longer you're long distance, because it's tough to live with somebody for like 3 months, and all of a sudden
They go away.
you're waking up every day, you're showering together, breakfast, dinner, lunch, whatever, and then now all of a sudden they're gone, and now you're talking through Skype or FaceTime or some kind of Zoom call or whatever it happens to be, and that's difficult, and it's not fun. So it can work out great, but somebody's got to move at some point because it gets old. Planes, trains, and automobiles is fun, but for a while, but it gets pretty old, especially when you've been doing it for a few years. And as a man, you should only be willing to move if the place where she lives is a really cool place that you want to live. Would guys move someplace to please the woman because they're afraid of losing her and they don't really want to live there? What oftentimes happens is literally as soon as they get there, within a matter of weeks, they get dumped. And I've done phone sessions over the years with guys that worked at a big company and were dating somebody that they worked in their company with. And so they have to put in to the corporate structure and ask for a transfer, and then they got to wait for another position to open up that's equal to what they have so they can make a lateral move in the company. They're selling off their houses, they're selling off their investment properties, they're selling off their art, their vehicles, their furniture, all this stuff, completely uprooting their lives, flying halfway around the world, and they finally get to the office where they're at, and like 2 weeks later, like I remember one case in particular, 2 weeks later, after the dude gets there, after like this 3-year ordeal, he didn't really even want to live there. He goes from living in a really nice area in Europe to being in the fucking snow and the ice and, a northern state. And 2 weeks later, the woman dumps his ass and immediately starts fucking somebody else in the office. So he's sitting here in the office, and keep in mind, this guy is high up in the corporate ladder, so he's her boss. And now his girlfriend, who he thought eventually he was going to marry, is now fucking somebody else in the office. And she's got an attitude about it. And it just shows that particular one that I'm thinking of, she was a ratchet. I mean, imagine doing that to a guy, convincing him to and uproot his life, flies all the way over there, and she's like, oh yeah, well, it's not working. I'm not feeling it anymore. So, well, it just kind of happened. Me and Bob from the office, it just kind of happened. Now she's dating him, and he has to see that. And now he's like, fuck, I'm in the middle of nowhere in the fucking snow and the sleet and the ice and everything else, and I don't want to fucking be here.
Well, she was
And-
probably doing that while he was in the UK.
Probably.
I remember
Maybe.
that newsletter, and I was just like, what the hell? And then he makes him move over there and then just ruins his life.
Yeah, that
Puts
wasn't
him
a
through hell.
newsletter. That was a coaching client. That's the one I'm talking about.
Was
But
it?
I've done newsletters.
Oh, there's another one
There's dozens
exactly
and dozens
like
of them
one,
like that.
where
It's,
he moves from the
they
UK to
move.
somewhere
They don't
cold.
really want to be there. She knows he doesn't want to be there, but he moves anyways to please her because that's unattractive. Because the attitude should be, I'll move somewhere, but it's got to be an improvement. And in his case, it was not. He was only moving for her to please her. He was a little bit of a pussy, and that was, that was on him. But she didn't really respect him as a man, and he uproots his life, and he gets all the way over there, and she's just like, eh.
So if you're dating a girl and say she has to leave for a job somewhere, but you don't like the location, should you stay in long distance or just break up when she leaves?
Well, I wouldn't, if you don't want to live where she's living. It's
Yeah,
like,
say
I'm
you're
not staying,
staying-
and we can try long distance for a while, but I can't guarantee I'm going to want to stick around. Because the reality is, if she's head over heels in love with you, she ain't going anywhere. Doesn't matter how good the job is.
Yeah.
If she's willing to pack her shit up and move to a different city, it's because her interest is low and she doesn't really give a fuck. No
Yeah.
woman wants to be away from the love of her life or her baby daddy for a paycheck. That's not going to work. She's moving away typically because she wants to get away from him.
See what happens if she's like moving for, I guess that covers
Well,
it.
they do it because they don't really have, some women are just, they don't have the guts
Yeah.
to break up with the guy. And so taking a job in another city or another state is kind of like a way to
Hey,
break up.
Yeah. See.
That happened to me when I was like 21. I was dating this guy just for a couple of months, and I was living in South Carolina on the near the beach, just on the coastline, and he was moving back to Boston, and it was like almost like November, December, and I was like, we were just kind of like dating for like 3 months, and he asked me to move with him, and I was like, oh no, I'm sorry, I'm not doing that.
So what happened? Did he move?
Oh, he moved, yeah.
And then that was it? You
Yeah,
didn't do
that was
long
it.
distance for a while?
Nah, I wasn't. I mean, we just dated for a little bit, and then he just did stuff that like turned me off. So I was kind of like, all right, well,
Happy trails to you.
yeah. I was like, good luck, and then that was it. He
Have
was
a nice life. Don't
he
forget
was
to ride.
upset, but wasn't a good match.
I feel like you've broken up with a lot of your boyfriends, Jade. Why don't you tell the audience about that a little bit?
Oh my god. Well, it's just I give people a certain amount of time, and if they're not doing things the way I like them, then
You're fired!
you're gone. And I will tell them that those things I don't like, and if they keep continuing to do them, I'm not going to waste my time with it. So, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So,
See ya, sucker.
yeah. Luckily, I
Stay
live
sucker free.
in a nice place, and Jack did not live in a nice place. Even though I offered, I was like, I mean,
Oh, you offered to move up there?
I was like, I'll go if you want. He's like, no, 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 no. He's like, I'll come there. He's like, I've always wanted to live there. I vacation there. So I'm just like, okay.
You were ready to move to New Jersey for Jack?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to, but he was like, no. And he's like, there's nothing for you to do here anyways. He's like, so, all right. So he came here.